What's up, everybody? We are back once again. Another show, the Three Black Guys Show. Put your threes up.
Plus one.
Plus
I don't know.
one.
Do I put my threes up for that?
Yeah, put your three up, man. Put your three up.
Put your three up. And I throw that one over here because that's you right here.
Right.
That's you right there. That's you.
Man, we got a special guest today. The one and only, the phenomenal Mr. G.I, rapper extraordinaire, killing it in the game,
yes,
guys.
Sir.
He's got a product. Just can't with the knife for real.
I'll cut somebody about G.I. But ask somebody, boy, what's wrong with y'all? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm not gonna tell all of G.I.'s history, but I know when he was about that high right there.
He's a knee high to a gator.
Right. But man, he's a good, phenomenal dude, phenomenal rapper. He's got a project he just dropped. I'm gonna let him talk about that. And
yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Let him talk about that and his podcast that he's got out called Mediums. And so, G.I, for a minute, man, just go ahead and tell us about yourself.
Yeah, so I appreciate y'all letting me hop on here. I love to have the conversation about whatever it is, involving society. But yeah, I do hip hop. I've been rapping for a while now, for about 20 years, and I just released.
You ain't grand yet, player. You could go ahead and say.
Hey, listen, it's coming in. It ain't quite there, but it's getting there. But I just released a project recently called Versus the World. It is just kind of me doing a collection of songs about legacy and about kind of thinking retrospectively about life and things that I want to pass on to the next generation of people. So yeah, it's kind of like letters to the world versus the world. Cool. And like you said, I do a podcast as well. Mediums, the podcast, we discuss things just involving artists. So different mediums of art is what we're discussing, and kind of the thought process that leads to artists and creation and struggles that we go through as artists. Myself and a co-host, she's a poet here in Birmingham, named Lissa Lou. Host that podcast. We do that bi-weekly, release on Mondays on any places where you can go get podcasts. You can go grab that. So Mediums the podcast is that. Versus the World is the album. You can only get the album right now on my website. That's githeartist.com. So you go to githeartist.com, you go to the shop, the album is there, click download, enjoy some wonderful hip hop music, man. So,
hey Fred, can you put a graphic on there for us, man? Make sure we got us on there. Man, I just want to say, man, I love this guy. I've known him for a long, long time. He's a good-hearted dude, man. And loves his family, loves his people, man. He's got a baby, and it's just he's got a wonderful wife, man. We need to have her on, talk about businesses and stuff too, because they about that life. They grind, dude.
Oh yeah.
You think the Myers grind? Check out them Joneses. We can't keep up with the Joneses.
It's been Doc. It's been a long time, then, man. I didn't know you got married, bro. How long has it been? Look, how long have you been married now?
It will be 5 years next month, man.
Yeah, man.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
man.
My son is 3 now. He'll be 4 in May.
Hold on, son.
Yes, dude.
I dropped him off in like 2009, dude, and it's been 19 years.
Dude,
passed.
we old, man.
God,
we are old. I tell you, I knew Ike when he was a teen, almost a preteen, man. So.
Wow.
I'm feeling like real old. But anyway, that's neither here nor there.
You are feeling like.
Huh? Man, nobody asked you Area 51.
Feeling like. That means you're old, brother. Ain't no feeling like it.
But anyway, talk about those mediums, man. There's a group I heard called Overflow. They're a jazz band, man. They might be good for your show, man.
I've heard them before. I think they're pretty dope too, man.
Yeah,
yes,
man.
sir. Yes, sir.
I don't know.
Sir.
I heard some bad things about them cats.
Hey, man.
I'm just saying what the reviews say.
Hey, man.
Don't believe the fake news, man.
Right. Oh, okay.
Fake news.
But anyway, man.
See what we got on the platter for today, bro.
Hey, man. Well, we're gonna talk about we're gonna talk about some local politics, man, and then let's go into some of the national politics. But first, let's talk about let's do local first, and then we can spread out from there. What do y'all say, huh? Yes, no, maybe so.
Let's do it. But we ain't worried about Area 51. We go with it.
So, for those who are not in the know, we've got Super Tuesday coming up. And it's an opportunity to make some choices for the Democratic primaries. And we have a special election that Governor Kay Ivey here, the governor of the great state of Alabama, wants to make some changes on the school board. She wants to be able to have an appointed school board instead of an elected school board. And so that's on Tuesday, guys. Make sure, here's the thing. I know I just gonna say something about it. Guys, make sure you go out and vote, man. It is nothing to play with. We had talked about a couple of weeks ago, GI, about what is voting still important, man? What are your thoughts about that? And then go into the whole KIV thing.
Is voting still important? Are there people who don't think voting is important?
There are some.
Yeah, I mean, I know that's true, but like, is that like a growing sentiment that people like believe that more now?
It's a growing sentiment in a national sense.
In a national
people,
what?
In a national sense. I think most people still believe in our local voting and local elections. Nationally, presidential elections and things of that, I think people have gotten not so confident in if their vote is counting in that type of deal.
Yeah. So, I mean, so what I'll say to that is that I think the issue that I have with people who, which I get the distrust with the, an electoral college system and all of that. But I think the issue that we have as voters is like, we don't really understand how bodies work, right? So like we have a system of government that has three branches, and the executive branch, which is the president or the governor in our state politics, we don't really know what those people do, and so we make a lot of ill-informed votes or choices based upon those things. Like I know there are a lot of people who took a lot of issue with previous presidents not doing things, and specifically for our people, President Obama, right? So it's like, oh, he didn't do enough. But I think he did what he was supposed to do for the office that he held, right? Like he was a president, like he wasn't a legislator. So we're talking about laws that we wish he had enacted. The stuff that he did, let's talk about things that he did do. A lot of that got erased after he left office because he did it via executive order, right? Because that wasn't a law that was put in place. You can undo an executive order just because the next executor can come in and undo that order.
Undo it. Right.
So if we're talking about wanting a president to do more things, we have to understand what a president is allowed to do within the confines of what his office is, and then judge him based upon that criteria. And I don't know that we judge people properly, and therefore it leads to this disenchantment with the voting process because we never really understood what we were supposed to be getting out of that process to begin with.
Right. Good. Very good.
Yeah. And again, I'm not a President Obama apologist. Like, I'm not here to say that he was a perfect president. I just think we need to understand what the president's job is and how we can hold them more accountable for the things that we should be doing, and not fall in love with a lot of political rhetoric on the campaign trail. So to back to the original question was, do I think that voting is still important? Absolutely. I just think that we have to reframe our minds and our narratives around what we're doing when we're going into vote, and who it is that we're selecting, and what that person actually should be judged on, whether or not they're actually getting the job done.
All right.
Yeah,
that's good stuff.
And what about the KIV? What are your thoughts about school board being elected versus appointed?
That one's rough for me, right? Like, my immediate thought is that I don't want to take the ability to impact who are people who are involved with the school board out of the hands of the voters on a continuous basis. But at the same time, we go back to the disinformation that happens with most of the voting population. Like, they don't know what they're voting for. They're voting for people because that was my auntie. My auntie running for that. It's like, your auntie might not really be good for the school board. Like, let's be real. But conversely, that means we're going to have to be way more informed about the policies and the political leanings of whoever the governor is. And so that puts more onus and it puts way more responsibility on that vote. And do I trust the voters of Alabama to get my interests right when it comes to governor? Absolutely not.
Wow, yeah.
We've shown no propensity whatsoever as a statewide electorate to be able to be fair and balanced in the way that we're putting people in statewide offices. So until Alabama becomes more of a purple state, I don't want the governor choosing who is going to be on the school board. Even though the school board's jacked up, like, I'm not saying that that's the process. But did I want to put that in KIV's hands to choose? I don't know. Because again, when we went out and voted for KIV, or whenever happened with her, I wasn't paying attention to what her thoughts were on education. and what she like. I really don't know where she stands on that. So do I want her to be appointing people that are going to be over the school board right now? Absolutely not.
Mm.
And I think that should be on probably the same. When we vote for governor again, that's the time to put that up for
right,
because it'll be a concurrent thing.
And I think that was, in my opinion, I think that was kind of a strategy of hers, that she wasn't going to bring this up until it got closer to the Super Tuesday vote, because, like you said, nobody knows her policies on education. Like nobody knows. Even people who like her have no clue what her beliefs or policies are on education. And now we're about to vote on something that's going to put that in her hands. Mm-hmm. Like, to me, that's just crazy. Like, I agree. If we're going to do something like that, it needs to be voted on when we do another governor election, and then vote on that. To do it now, for me, is just crazy, because I don't know what this lady wants. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've heard her little commercials, or that little speech she did, or wherever she was at, and she was talking about, it starts from the top and goes down and all that. Well, we know all of that. You know what I'm saying? And like G.I. said, we know the school board is jacked up. Like, it don't take a rocket science to figure that out. But are you going to give us better people just because you're the governor? You know what I'm saying? When I look at the faces of the kids that my kids go to school with, are your interests going to line up with what they need?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And that's my concern right now, because if this happens, there's no telling. I mean, we forget about the rest of the state. If we just look at Birmingham school system, bruh, if you go in there and jack that up even more than it already is,
right,
man, our kids are gonna suffer bad. I mean, bad. Like G.I. said, people are voting for their auntie and their uncles and all that because they run it for school board.
Right. Most people are not even paying attention to the name that's on the school board. They're not paying attention.
Honestly, I can't tell you who's on the school board.
Right.
I don't know these people's names.
Unless you have a vested interest in education.
I really don't know these people's names. I do know that the school districts have an issue. It could be the school board's problem. I know some issues are a teacher problem. Some issues are a parent problem. Some issues are a student problem. Mm-hmm. So for me in the middle of all this, just to say, okay, all right, you know what? There's a problem. Forget about it. I'm going to take over. I'm going to put somebody in charge of this stuff. I'm going to put these people in line. To me, that's just crazy. That's moving more toward a dictatorship with this type of stuff, man. And you cannot, when you have had a system of voting, you can't just remove that.
Right.
Like, that's crazy to me. It's like you are literally saying, I don't trust y'all. As y'all governor, I don't trust y'all to do this right.
So let me be an advocate. Let me play the role here. So we know that Alabama is one of the last few 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 states that have voter elected or school board systems. The rest have a combination of both, and or totally outright they are appointed by a governor.
Okay.
So let's look at Alabama. We know that our schools are struggling. It is not working. So if we did hand it over to, say, our Republican governor, do you think it's going to help or hurt our schools?
I don't know,
because it'll be one voice. It won't be, you know what I'm saying? It'll be a Tower of Babel type thing. Go ahead.
I don't know what the ladies think. I don't know what her policies are. I don't know I have no clue.
And then if it is okay now, if it is okay now, who's to say it's going to be okay with the next governor? You understand what I'm saying? Once that seat changes, those ideals change.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it still needs to be in the hands of the people.
Yeah, my issue with it is, we've already got appointees that are there in Montgomery doing things that are relative to education. The point of the school board is supposed to be representative government, right? Like, it's supposed to be someone from the area that we live in is going to represent us on matters that involve education for our state. And I just don't know that. I need to look over what they're proposing to do. Are they proposing to make sure that each district is still going to be represented with these appointments? Like, how is it going to work? Like, it just doesn't make sense for you to pick, 8 of your best friends and put them on like that. That's how we got into the issue in national education, where we have Betsy DeVos as a secretary over education nationally. And she don't know what she's doing. So it's like, it's cool because y'all had a relationship. You wanted to give her a secretary post, but like, what is she doing for nationwide education initiatives? Not much.
And see, my thing is that these other states that have done this elected their governor. Okay. She took over when Bentley resigned, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so.
And so to me, the situation is different. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I can't, we need to go, she needs to be elected governor, and then we need to vote on something like this. You know what I'm saying? Doing it now for me, man, is just not the way to do this. Like, not the way. This isn't how you fix a failing school system, by just simply allowing somebody who the people don't even know. If she wanted to do this, the first thing she should have did was laid out everything as far as education goes that she wants to do. Her policies, what she thinks, how she thinks it can be fixed. We don't know.
And to date, she has not done that.
When she did the State of the Union, she said the problem, but she didn't say exactly what she would do to fix it. You know what I'm saying? And just simply appointing people isn't necessarily going to fix the problem. Mm-hmm. First of all, do we know the people that you are going to appoint? What is their history? You know what I'm saying? What is their policies or ideas on education? We don't know nothing.
So I think my issue is that one. My issue is that same one, is that if she had been elected as a governor, then maybe it'd be a little bit different. But since she assumed the office after a resignation, she hasn't even won a popular vote yet in the office she's in, and she's trying to enact policies that are going to change the way that the electorate thinks about that seat. I don't know that that's one. I mean, she did win lieutenant governor, so I'm not saying that she has not won an office.
Right.
But that's still not the same thing, because this isn't a decision that you would put on the lieutenant governor.
Right.
So I think that if I'm not against doing this, I think it's a little late in the game, number one, to do it to even make it make sense. But number two, I think it needs to be concurrent with actually when the election is going to happen for governor.
Hey, that's all I was saying. That's what I'm, she's got to, like I was saying, the previous states have all had elected officials, elected governors to do this stuff. We don't. She took over when Bentley resigned. So, I mean, to say that we now are going to trust you to make this decision, I don't think is right, and I don't think it's fair to take the vote away from people right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just crazy. Now, to what G.I was saying, how do we fix the knowledge that the voters have when it comes to the schools? Because like you said, we're voting in our friends and our relatives and people that we know, because they simply are running for a school board. Right. So how do we go about fixing, getting people to politically educate themselves, to find out exactly what that person is doing, wants to do, and how it's going to affect them? How do we fix that? Anybody?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly think, more conversations like this, where we talk about what's going on with the issue, and then finding ways to really parse out both sides of the equation, are the only ways that we can start to make people more aware. Like, just saying, putting an initiative on about that. I think my biggest issue, aside of the things that I've addressed already, is it's really late in the game to be trying to when did she decide she wanted to put this up for a vote?
It's only been a few months.
Only been a few months, and it comes up this Tuesday.
And so it's been a few months. And how long has the actual movement behind educating people on this been taking place? Like, it didn't get into media coverage until maybe a couple of weeks ago, right? It just became a thing all of a sudden that everybody was talking about
It became a big thing, right?
And so that's not enough time for people to really understand the issue enough to vote on it properly. I just don't know that. It feels as if it was something somebody's just trying to sneak in there real quick.
What did I say?
No. All right, let me see if I can slide this on in here and get this done without trying to
while everybody distracted.
Right.
And that's really the biggest issue that I have is like I don't really trust that you're trying to do the right thing.
Yeah, I think we gotta, in my opinion, I think we gotta strike this down right now, and then
Right, it can be revisited.
Right, if she wants to revisit it, fine, and then we can, figure out a way to, to get more information. But I just don't see by Tuesday us saying, okay, lady, you go ahead, appoint these people, and we good. Like I can't see that. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's not. That's not how this stuff works, man. It's like if we're going to be in a democracy, you can't take away the vote.
You can't take away the vote.
You know what I'm saying? You can't do that. And I understand it may have worked in other states, and that's fine. But it was done differently in those states, I'm sure. Now, I don't have the information, but I don't have the information on that either. It was done differently than just all of a sudden one day it popping up. Oh,
by the way,
right. There's going to be an amendment in a couple of weeks for y'all to vote for me to appoint people to the school board instead of me voting them in.
We're going to fire everybody and I'm going to appoint everybody.
Right. That's ridiculous.
So go ahead.
I just browsed the article that you sent out. It does say specifically that those appointees will have to still come from the respective districts. And there is an oversight in which the state senators are going to have to approve the appointees.
Mm-hmm.
So again, what I don't know necessarily. This does continue to have some form of representative government, which is good. But I still think that it turns it away from a political thing into a crony thing, where it's like, okay,
cronyism.
Right. And my issue with it is that now what we have to realize is that this shines more light on different things like who are going to be your state senators now, right? Like, because these people are the ones who are going to be responsible for approving these appointees.
Right.
And now you need to pay attention. I don't know that anybody pays attention to who the lieutenant governor is for real when we start running for these. And that's the reason we're in this position right now of not knowing what the ideals of Kay Ivey are, because she got to be lieutenant governor and nobody said to themselves,
nobody knew anything about
what if Bentley is out here screwing interns?
Right.
So then we're stuck with this person who we have as a lieutenant governor and we don't know anything about her.
Right.
So nobody paying attention when they voted for that. No. State senator races, nobody pays attention to those. And those are now going to be more important because there's a different responsibility put into their hands. Those were not the things that I elected that person to do.
Right. And I think it's going to take forums like ours, 3 Black guys, to be able to say, all right, guys, this is how it is in the barbershop. This is how we talk. And this is what you need to look for. You need to be awake and you need to be looking out for what our next elections are about, so that you can understand that what you vote for locally is going to affect you immediately. What you vote for locally is going to affect you immediately. So that's why we got to get the word out. We got to get the change on. We got to let them know that, man, what's coming down the road, you got to pay attention to. You just can't let it happen no more. It's time out for that. I want to switch gears, guys. Are we done? Do you want to say something, Mario?
I'm ready to go to national news now.
Let's go to national news, man. Tell us what happened in Selma, man. Something happened in Selma today, and you gotta let us know what happened, bro.
Selma churchgoers turned their backs on Bloomberg, as I read from CNN here. It says a group of churchgoers Sunday turned their backs on former New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg as he addressed the historic Brown Chapel AME Church in Selma, Alabama. A group of at least 9 people took part in the protest as Bloomberg spoke during the 55th commemoration of Bloody Sunday. We all know what Bloody Sunday is. Historic civil rights march in 1965. 17 people were injured by police as they attempted to cross Ibn Pettis Bridge in Selma during their Montgomery march from Selma to Montgomery. Bloomberg was the first Democratic presidential candidate to address the congregation Sunday as he spoke about his Greenwood initiative, which he launched in Tulsa, Oklahoma in January, and addressed systematic bias that has kept many Black Americans from gaining wealth. Several people sitting in the church pews stood up and turned their back on him. Watch this. During his campaign, Bloomberg has faced repeated criticism over politics that impacted minority communities, including the controversial what? Stop and frisk.
Stop and frisk.
In his first introduction, Bloomberg Sunday, in first introducing Bloomberg Sunday, the Reverend Leotis Strong.
Leotis.
That's a strong name,
man.
Strong
Black name.
Leotis. He said he told the group that when he first invited Bloomberg to Brown Chapel AME, Bloomberg told him, "I've got to beat Donald Trump. I don't have time to go to Brown Chapel." What? Say what? Oh, okay then.
Okay then.
Right.
Strike one.
Strike one. Well, strike another.
Right.
Strong said he threw away the paper he had with Bloomberg's information, disappointed. But Strong told the group that some of Bloomberg's people reached out. And after thinking about it, I thought it was important for Mayor Bloomberg on his journey, wherever it ends up, that before he gets there and on his way there, it is important that he has the opportunity to listen and learn from people like you and me. And this one. He continued, I think it's important for Mr. Bloomberg, Mayor Bloomberg, to hear you, to listen to you, to learn from you. He's telling his congregation this, and allow Terry Reynolds and some of us to keep him informed of what's important to you. Does that make any sense to you, Mayor Bloomberg? Bloomberg then greeted the group. You ready to go in?
He ready to go in.
Okay, but I got to get to this right here.
Okay.
After they did all this, guess who they gave standing ovation for?
What?
He was there as well to speak. Smokey Joe. Joe Biden, baby. The congregation could be heard cheering and clapping as Biden became visible to them in the church. He walked up and sat in a chair in the corner behind the pulpit next to Reverend Al Sharpton, and later Alabama Democratic Rep Terry Sewell, who's endorsing him while Bloomberg observed the service from the front pew.
Who is Sewell endorsing?
Biden. Yeah, I'll stop there. James, you've been holding your hand up for a minute.
Here we go.
And hold up. And go.
Okay. All right. Let me just get a few things straight first. All right. So, you Negroes brought Mike Bloomberg. Let's get this right. So y'all brought Bloomberg,
Mike Bloomberg,
to Selma, Alabama. To what church was it?
No, wait. We didn't bring. Nobody brought him. He was here to hobnob because of the Bloody Sunday.
Bloody Sunday.
So he went to the bridge events.
Okay.
Right. Go.
And y'all allowed this man to go to the church.
After he told y'all he didn't have time initially.
Right. After he said, the man said he had time to.
I got to beat Trump. I don't have time to come to y'all church.
But y'all let this man go in this church anyway.
He found out Biden was coming. That's why.
And talk. Mr. Stop and Frisk.
Red line.
Mr. I don't like none of you black and brown folks. Okay. This man is 127 years old.
I don't watch you Negras.
All right. So I'm trying to understand this. Like, are we surprised that this happened?
Are we surprised that they protested and stood and turned their backs on it?
Yeah, are we surprised at that?
I am. I mean, just it's a church. You know, we don't stand up and turn our backs on people that enter church. We are forgiving people.
We don't really protest the way we used to protest. So that in and of itself.
I bet if Donald Trump walked in your church on Sunday, you'd stand up and turn your back.
It'll be a whole nother thing.
He be talking to an empty church.
It'll be a whole different thing, player.
You know what I'm saying? Listen, man. Listen. For after he had released that initial statement, for them to even allow him to come in there and say anything is just beyond me. Like, he told you he didn't have time for you. And then what happened was his people came to him and said, hey, wait a minute. You need to go talk to these Negroes down here, man. We need them. You need to go say something to them black folk, man. So he said, all right, I'll go talk to the niggas. And then went down there and went into the church and decided to do that. They shouldn't have let him through the door. He shouldn't have been able to step a foot in the door. Mm-hmm. They should have pushed him out the way, went ahead and let Biden come on in and do his thing. To me, that's just crazy. See, this is what I'm talking about, man. This political posturing stuff that people are doing. This stuff we doing because we feel like we gotta give people a voice and give them a chance to talk. Why? The man told you what he thought in the initial response. So to even allow him to come, man, that's just crazy to me. That's just crazy to me.
Listen to this. I'm actually not mad that they allowed him, just because I think he needed to see that energy. Like, I think he needed to see people like actively saying, yeah, we just
don't dig you.
Like,
right.
You're here.
I got you.
Somebody gave you the platform, but I don't have to pay attention to you.
I got you.
Well, check this out. Now, I'm trying to see who made this remark that I'm about to tell you.
You know what? Hold that thought, because I have some ideas. I want to take a break because we only got a couple minutes. And before you get into it, I want to take a break before we come back on this. Right, and we can come right back on it because I got some ideas I want to talk about too, and then I want you to go into what you need to. So, guys, you're going to see a couple commercials. You're probably going to see one definitely of the Myers Ultimate Treats and Lemonade that's coming at you. You got to have a lemonade, man. Lemonade. You got to have the treats. And then also you're going to see something from Daylight Productions, media, videos, photos.
Well, you just killed that name, but that's okay. They're going to see it. I don't know
what
you just said.
What'd I do?
Daylight Productions, media, photos, all. I guess that's my name, y'all. Whatever Steve.
I'm like, you do all that though.
Whatever Steve just said. Whatever he just said.
And of course, scripts, embroidery.
You will be seeing some things on
there.
And it'd be nice to have a commercial, you know.
We need to shoot that this weekend coming up.
I'm gonna send you some stuff, and you can put something together.
Well, I mean, we've been sending stuff for the past 8 months now. I ain't got
okay, and then we're gonna put up a link for G.I.
Oh wow, isn't that special?
Versus the World. We're gonna put up some information on him so everybody can get that new joint. I've been checking it out. It's nice. It's normal. That's my boy.
It's G.I. Come on, Doc. We know it's perfect.
Come on, right? You know what I'm saying? And I really almost want to talk about Kanye that we got him on here. I want to talk about Kanye since we got him, but we'll see.
Oh, yeah. All right, come on, man. Let's go to this.
All right, let's take this break. We'll be back in a minute, guys.
All right.
This ain't your mama's ordinary dessert.
right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back, Three Black Guys Show. We're back here once again. Plus one, we got Mr. G.I. Magus in the house, man. I was listening to a little bit his music on the break, guys. Please go out and check my brother out, man. Tell us that link one more time, G.I.
Yes, the website is githeartist.com. You can go there, click on shop, and there's a link to the music there. And that's right now. I don't really want to get into all the reasons why it's just on the website, but just if you want to hear about that, it's something on my Facebook page. You look up G.I. Magus on Facebook. I did a whole soliloquy about why I put it on the website. But yeah, githeartist.com. Go there and you can download it.
Man, go get his stuff. I'll say something. He's cutting out the middleman. The man wants all his money. Understand? The man wants all his money. He don't want to pay CD Baby. He don't want to pay none of these.
That's definitely a part of it.
You know what I'm saying? Get the man his money. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. He deserves that money.
He deserves it. Hey, good product. Before we go any further, James, can you stop?
Huh?
Can you stop, please?
Stop what?
Eating that popcorn.
Stop. That's about as bad as when he picked up the damn cat. Hey, man. Okay. All right. I'm done.
Anyway, let's get back. We're going to still doing national news, including the national news. Before we get started, guys, we know that Steyer has dropped out of the race. Everybody like who? Steyer. Right. Exactly.
Booty just did too.
And then that's what I was going to say. And then another big one that just dropped
Booty.
out. Booty. He is now dropped out of the race. And so, and Mike Bloomberg has just been shunned in Selma. Now, let me say this, guys. Being a church person, why I gotta be all that? I believe that he need to feel that. I believe that he needed to really see that. That kind of boots on the ground reaction. Now, was the right place to do it? I'm kind of questioning that. I don't know. Okay. I can see it at graduations. I can see it. You know what I'm saying? I just don't think it was. I don't know. I'm on the fence about it.
Disagree.
Okay. I mean, that's why we're here.
Because during the civil rights era, the church was the place where we galvanized. That was the place where we practice protest, where it was, you understand where I'm coming from?
I understand the thought.
So yeah, why not there?
I understand the thought as well, but I'm actually going to go a whole different direction. And I think we need to depoliticize pulpits altogether. Like, I just don't like.
We need to what them?
Depoliticize pulpits altogether. I don't have an issue with pastors, speaking their mind on issues, but like politicians coming and getting to speak at churches and not like, I just don't think that needs to happen, period.
I agree with that. I agree with.
Unless it's going to be outside of the normal church service times. Like if you want to hold a thing and like have them come talk and whoever wants to come show up, comes and show up and you're just going to have a thing at that church, that's different. But you want to come talk during Sunday morning service because that's when the most people know you can't have my pulpit during because that's not what this is for.
I got you on that. I agree with you on that. But do you think that pastors should leave politics alone?
Yeah. I mean, to a degree. When I say leave politics alone, I mean that they should not encourage parishioners to vote a specific way about things. I think we have to be informed on issues, and I don't think that there's a problem with a pastor speaking his mind on a particular political issue. Mm-hmm. I do have a problem with pastors endorsing candidates publicly, though.
Mm. Okay, there we go. But we understand that that Southern evangelicals. They do this, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just
they
because
use their pulpit as a political platform.
Yeah, I mean, the structure of Southern politics is built on the back of the church. Like a huge portion of that, regardless of which party affiliation you have, it either becomes this whole thing about conservatism and God's divine will for these people who have the whatever you want to call their moral standing that they don't actually practice, but talk about heavily, or it becomes this thing of the Jesus that's of the people and we need to support, like whatever it is. Churches have been too intertwined, I think, in politics And I think it clouds the message of what you have or what needs to be happening, especially when you don't see that enacted in your everyday life. Like if you're only talking about it as a political stance and then your life doesn't mirror that, or your church's movement doesn't mirror that, I have a problem with it.
Wow.
I think that they have used their, and we're talking about Southern evangelicals, have used their church platform.
Evangelicals, period. Go ahead.
Period. Have used their platform for political purposes, and it has worked for them.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? If this is me, it works. If it works, you have to use what's available to you. That's me. That might not sound all heavenly and godly, but it's worked so much for them that they have raised their children to believe that voting anything other than conservative is a sin.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm like, that amazes me that you can tie that into, you can tie your political vote into into your religious belief that way.
Yeah, and this is where we get into issues that I have with the supposed separation between church and state, is that I think they've become too, and when you are going and having basically a political body, which what the church has turned into for a lot of evangelical churches, and there's still being places where people can be and they're tax-free places. Like if the church is going to be separate and they're not going to be able to be taxed by the government, then they don't need to be political harbingers as well. Like you can't be both of these. Okay. I think that's wrong.
Right.
That's a really good point to bring out. I think I saw a post about that. Should churches begin to be taxed if they're going to have political voices like that?
Right.
I think yes.
Absolutely. You can't get into a thing.
Well, y'all are doing too much tonight. y'all are doing way too much, man.
It's late. I'm hungry, man. I'm trying not to send y'all Facebook.
The professionalism, I swear. Anyway, go ahead, man.
Yeah, I think if the church gets into too much of that stuff, man, it can distort a few things. I think it can cause confusion from somebody's religious beliefs and then their political beliefs. Mm-hmm. Like you were talking about with the evangelicals. I mean, they literally believe what Mario was talking about. That it is just wrong for them to vote any other way.
A sin.
Because and it's got to be evident in the way they feel about our current president. There's nothing morally Christian or evangelical about this man.
Absolutely.
But they support him to a T. And it's because they believe we're this, so we've got to vote this way.
Yep.
Regardless. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think it forces religion into the political conversation too much. Like you're going to have these people who have to come out as being the moral values candidate, but again, there's no evidence that that's a real thing in their life. So it's like I have to say it as a byline in my when I'm running, as a political statement when I'm out here on the campaign trail. Right. But then there's this abstraction from there is no way you could convince me that anyone who voted for Donald Trump had any inkling that he was a Christian prior to him running for president.
Because he didn't say it. He did not say it.
He didn't say it or exemplify it.
There you go.
Let's talk about his facts on paper of what he did with his life. There's literally nothing you can point to that tells me that you think that he's this morally upstanding person. If you polled people prior to his presidency as to whether or not you felt like Donald Trump was a moral upstanding person, I guarantee you the majority of those polls would not tilt in that direction.
Right.
However, somehow as president, he's become the conservative beacon of what is upstanding and right in America, and that is lunacy.
Right.
Lunacy.
It is. It is. You said the right word. Right. Lunacy.
I mean, you get he pulls these really, to me, Lord, keep my mouth. You pull people like Paul White. You pull people, who's the most famous person. And then I saw this other guy. I can't think of his name. He's a big Hispanic guy. And you know, they and the DC Talk guy, the black guy from DC Talk, I saw him standing with him. I can't remember his name either. But anyway, you get these people and they vouch for him, and you get all these black leaders that come in, you know, and vouch for him. And now he's, you know, the banner of Christ. He's helping Jesus carry the cross up to Golgotha. And I'm like, come on, y'all really? What the man said in his mouth, it came out of his mouth. I don't know, prior to him running or when he was running, the man says, I don't repent. I don't have to be sorry for anything. I have nothing to repent for.
Right.
I don't need to repent. And a man who says he does not need to repent is a man that does not know doesn't know anything about forgiveness. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, how can you say, he came out of his mouth, he says, I don't say I'm sorry. I have nothing to repent for. I'm like, are you kidding me? I wake up and step out the bed. I might have thought someone did something already if I got out the bed this morning. You know what I mean? But I don't get it. I don't get it either.
Nah, it doesn't make sense. And to try to make it make sense. So again, if your thing is you like his policies, then stand on that. But to try to convince me that he is now the Christian values candidate,
right?
I can't buy that. I can't buy it at all.
And that's always been my thing. Like, if you like him, you just like him. That's up to you.
You like him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But don't when we talk about religion, don't try to tell me, because I've had people argue me up and down. Well, he's a Christian. I'm like, really?
To prove it.
And so my thing is, okay, so what if he's a Christian? I really don't care. But like, there are a lot of Christians who are morally corrupt. Like you can profess Christianity and still be bankrupt in your morals.
Right.
So just because you signed the roll on somebody's church and you went and ate a couple crackers and drank some juice, I don't care. I literally don't care. Like, if there has never been anything that's evidentiary in your life, then we need to have a different conversation about what you think morality is.
Right.
It's just roll on a church register somewhere.
But here's
I got a problem.
Though, G.I. These people literally think that he is a morally upstanding person. Like, they really believe it.
And you know what? I don't think that they believe that. Like, you can't convince me that they believe it.
Thank you.
I think it sounds
lunacy.
good to say because he is the head guy in the Republican Party, and they're supposed to be the party of morals and of Christian values and all of that. I think it sounds good to say because you don't want to go against what your party is supposed to be preaching. But you can't convince me that you believe that.
G.I, I was on Periscope with some people the other day, and they were talking about, they had on their Trump was the hashtag was Trump, freedom, America, Jesus. And so I went on, and since y'all was talking about Jesus, I want to see what they was talking about. These people were shouting me down when I asked them, okay, well, you say Trump's a Christian, what are the fruits from it? They went off about it. I'm like, well, you know, y'all biblical people, we talking about Jesus, give me some scriptures. You know, they couldn't give me any. And then got mad at me when I started showing them in scripture how Trump was not. You know what I mean?
Did they say in 2 Corinthians like he did that time?
I thought it was... So, I mean, they believe it. They believe it, G.I.
Yeah.
There are some that actually believe that this man's a Christian.
But I see, so where we need to separate something. I'm talking about the people who are running the hype train. I know that there are evangelicals who are illiterate and ignorant people who are just believing anything that they're being told believe this. But I'm talking about the Paula Whites of the world and the heads of the Republican establishment who echo these sentiments. Do they actually believe what they're saying, or are they selling you a bill of goods? I think it's the latter.
I think you may be right in that. They may be trying to sell us something for the party's sake, for the Republican Party's sake, because like you said, they are supposed to be the party of morals and the Christian party and the godly party and all that good stuff. But that becomes a dangerous mindset for me. Mm-hmm. Like, it really becomes, because if you go that far, what is this person doing down here, man?
What is he doing?
He's eating off camera. Y'all let the man eat.
Man. Oh, okay. All right. Don't eat, man. My bad, man.
I thought he was about to pick up a cat.
My bad. Maybe I should have did that.
I mean, I'm trying to be all cool about it. G, I understood what was happening. Golly. Oh.
Hey, G.I, you can tell we homeboys, man. This is the homeboy
I ain't
show.
mad at it, bro.
Let me tell you about these cats, G.I. I mean, you can send them to school, buy them books. What they do? Eat the cover. I mean, just come on, dude. Throw me to the wolves. Go ahead. You was making some good points here while I was chewing.
But what I was saying was, though, man, that's a dangerous mindset for me. Like that's kind of dangerous. That scares me a little bit. That you'll stick up for this man and put this man, of all people, put this man up there and want to sell me that he's morally upstanding,
Right?
For the sake of the party. Like that's scary to me, because, and I'm not, and the crazy part about it with Donald Trump, we don't even have to go by stuff that we heard. We can just literally listen to him talk.
Come
like
on,
this
man.
dude, man, just says stuff to just, I mean, it's an everyday thing. Stuff just comes out of his mouth, and you sit there like, "Wow, did he just say that?"
Mm-hmm. But as a party, what that says to me is, you'll say anything to make your point of view. You know, I'm not saying right. What am I trying to say? You'll say anything to support your
When
party.
the Bushes had a problem with him, I knew right then there was an issue.
Right.
When the Bushes had a problem.
It was
Of all people, the Bushes.
the Bushes had a problem.
Man,
So what I would like to do, man, and G.I, man, you can help us. We are trying to find some Black Republicans that we can get on the show, so we can understand. He said,
No, so here's the interesting thing about that, right?
okay.
I know quite a few Black Republicans.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know every last one of them that I know is very reluctant to actually
come out.
I don't want to say debate, because they feel like it's going to get into a back and forth. They don't want to defend their thought process.
Okay. Their political.
Not a lot. Most of the Black ones don't want to defend it. They just want to be allowed to believe what they believe and say, well, you believe what you want to. Because they don't want to see anyone poke holes in it, or they feel like it's going to get uncivil really quickly.
Okay.
So the vast majority, and because I've tried to have conversations and be like, okay, look,
I was about
you
to
think
ask.
you seem like an intelligent person. Talk to me, convince me, tell me why I'm wrong about this.
Right.
And they're like, they're not ready to have that conversation because they don't want to defend what they think.
So let me ask you this question. The ones that you've talked to, are they, I understand they're Black Republicans, are they Trump supporters also?
They support their party without
party. Okay.
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
And see, and that's my thing. And this is my thing. I haven't been able to talk to any person, but I've seen some that are Black Republicans but still have an issue with Donald Trump.
And so here's another reality. Some of them may take issue with Donald Trump. They believe he's better than the Democratic alternative. And so they're willing to overlook whatever moral flaw he might have to say policy-wise, he still lines up more with what I believe. And so I'm going to have to vote for that guy.
Mm-hmm.
So I would love to have them come on so we could I could keep it at just.
I will ask. But
I'm with you. If you couldn't G.I. have a conversation with him, what make you think
policy? Give me, because so I want them to give me the policies that he has that they feel lines up more with their because as a business owner, I own 2 businesses, and Donald Trump's tax plan benefited me, but that's not still enough to get me to say that I would vote for him. You know what I'm saying? There's not enough in that for me to vote for him policy-wise. So I would even like to know what policies that he has that they feel.
You're going to get back into a moral equivalency conversation, really, because on economy, there's not, like, he doesn't have a ton. Let's be real about his economic record, right? Like, he doesn't have a ton that he can run on with the economy, because he hasn't really done much besides get us out of a couple of treaties and get us into some situations where we might be having to fight with people over tariffs for the next however many years. Now, tax plan aside, most of what was happening with the economy was happening before he got into office.
Right.
I said these same
And so when we start having conversations about what he actually has done, it's not going to be much. Like we're gonna get back into, well, he supports he's a pro-life candidate, and they're gonna talk about guns, and they're gonna talk about a bunch of things that don't really.
Oh yeah, the prison reform.
Yeah, they love the prison.
The conversations that I've had with Trump supporters, people see it from the perspective that they want to see it. And what I mean by that is, you said what I said. Most of the stuff was already in place to happen before he even got in office, and it's just coming to fruition. But the people that I've talked to, it's happening because he's in office. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And stuff doesn't happen that fast. It doesn't happen that fast, and that's what I was trying to tell them, at least. So people will see it from the point of view that they want to see it from. We say it's happening because Obama did X, Y, and Z, and now it's coming to fruition. They say it's happening because he's in office, and he, people see how they want to see it.
Go ahead, James. He's itching. Look at him.
I ain't said a word.
Okay.
I ain't said a word.
Well, I would love. I want to have a conversation, man. I just want to have a conversation with you. I really do. And
you want to argue. You don't want to have no conversation.
No, I don't want to argue. I
want to understand. I personally want to understand the thought process.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've definitely attempted to have conversations with people that I know, and it's
didn't work out, huh?
I mean, it was just one of those things where they were like, yeah, I really don't want to argue about it. I'm like, I didn't ask you to argue about anything. Like I understand that you've probably had to feel like you were going to argue with people before, but that's not what I'm here for. Matter of fact, I'd be willing to just sit and listen. You just talk and say whatever you want to. Just you get a solid 5 minutes of just saying whatever you want to say, as long as I can ask questions afterwards.
No, you can't ask questions. That's what got me in trouble when I talked to this group. I was just asking questions, and they got mad at me for just asking questions. Okay, we got 10 minutes, guys. I want to hit a couple things, man. We got Super Tuesday coming up, and I want to get your ideas. You guys should by now have some type of inkling where you're going to vote in for y'all willing to talk about that? Right. Yes. Yes.
Wow.
Have some type of inkling of where you want to vote if you're willing to. I'll start off. I don't think Bloomberg has a chance. He doesn't have an Ice Cube chance. I'm gonna go with Warren. I think she has great ideas. I think that when it comes to her facing Trump, she can stand toe to toe with him, and he ain't gonna have nothing to say, because if he says anything misogynist, he's gonna say something stupid. It's gonna wreck him. So I believe that, to me, she has a better chance going up against him. And Biden's just not the one to do it. He's just riding on, hey, I'm Joe, and that just doesn't cut it with me. So if you guys are bold enough to step out there, and then how about this, man? What about Abrams, G.I? Just a quick question. What about Abrams joining somebody's ticket? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I don't necessarily have an issue with Abrams. I will not say that I'm super I paid a little bit of attention to her just because, it was good to see the sister go and do her thing over in Georgia. But I don't know enough about Abrams and her political stance to say, yeah, I would, firmly endorse her as a VP candidate for somebody yet.
Okay.
I haven't even done my diligence on her yet.
All right.
I told you, man, I'm writing Stewie Griffin in. I told you, man. I'm writing Stewie Griffin in. Daryl Dixon is his running mate, and that's what we're going with this year, man. That's what we're going with. That's what we're gonna do. I'm definitely gonna shoot this school board thing down. Like we're gonna kill that, like right off top.
Right.
We're gonna kill that. But realistically speaking, though, man, for me, it's a cross between Bernie and Elizabeth Moore. You know what I'm saying? I'm not. I'll know Tuesday.
Yeah.
I'll know Tuesday. But right now, it's just a cross between the two of them for me, man. It's because I don't like doing this lesser of two evil things. I don't like doing that. So I want to have solid reasons why I'm voting for somebody. You know what I'm saying? I really do. I don't. And so, like for me, really, Stewie Griffin is just the best choice. But you know, I might write myself in there. Hell, I don't.
And you might do a better job.
Well,
yeah, I'm pretty much the same way. It's either going to be Sanders or it's going to be Warren for me. I have not decided which of those two. I do think that there is something about the Sanders movement that intrigues me when it comes to the general election. Just because now when we think about how President Obama won, like, you know, we know that the vast majority of it was because he was Black. Like, let's just be real. Black people showed up because he was Black, right?
Right.
There's just a growing level of people, especially young voters, who are engaged in the Sanders campaign simply because he has a lot of ideals that they like, right? And I think he has the potential to change what the electorate looks like. Like if there were absolutely no new voters that could come into the election process and they had to vote as they've typically been voting for the last 16 years, he wouldn't have a prayer. He's going to have to change the electorate turnout into something different than a landscape that we've seen before. I think it's possible for him to do that. The only issue he's going to run up against is it's still an electoral college system, right? If it were a popular vote, I think he'd win in a landslide.
Yeah.
But in an electoral college system, I have yet to look at what his path to victory is. Like, what states does he have to win the requisite number of electors? I don't know yet. And I'd have to see. Super Tuesday is going to tell us a lot about what the turnout is going to be, number one, and what the numbers look like in his favor for places where he wins, because he's going to pick up a ton of wins in a lot of places. But what's going to be the margin and who is number two in those places? If it's a number two Biden vote or a number two Klobuchar or something crazy like that, he's not going to win a national election just because he can't turn out enough voters.
Right.
Because they lean too middle of the road for him as a far left candidate. Well, he's not. He's the furthest left of anybody in the field. So I don't know. Again, I'm still kind of on the fence about those two. I am not a big Joe Biden fan. I am not excited at all about Klobuchar. So those are the only two options that I think that even make sense.
Okay.
The other two that dropped out of the race, I wasn't interested in them anyway.
Right.
I was intrigued. I'm going to be honest and say I was intrigued by Steyer just because he was someone who was outside of the political. He was a billionaire that was not a Trumpian billionaire. Like, Bloomberg is way too much like Trump, just with a different color hat on.
Right. I agree.
And Steyer didn't seem like that same kind of guy to me, but he also didn't seem like he was heavy on rhetoric and very light on ideals. But hey, that's how Trump won. He ain't had no ideas. He was just like, hey, I can win because I got money. And they was like, yeah. No ideas at all.
All right, guys, you got 2 minutes. Mario.
2 minutes.
Well, less than 2 minutes.
I'm still undecided. Really, I am. As long as they don't mess with guns, I'm good. No. But as long as you leave my guns alone, man.
Stewie got
Stewie
Griffin got a bunch of guns.
He does.
Yeah, he does.
I might need to look at him then.
There you go. Right.
Anyway, I'm still undecided. I really am.
You might want to look at Bloomberg then. That's your guy right there.
He might have me stopped and frisked and then take my guns from me. So no. But I'm still undecided.
All right, cool, guys. Well, man, G.I, thank you so much for being on with us, man. We definitely going to call you back to get on with us, man. Once again, go check out my man G.I on his website. What's it called one more time, G.I?
GItheartist.com. The project is Versus the World on the website right now.
Go check it out, guys.
Man,
It'll
I want
bless
to
your
come
soul.
talk on the podcast, man, as a creative. You know what I'm saying? I want to get on the podcast, man, see what y'all talking about.
Yeah, he does a great tambourine. All right, guys.
Right.
3 Black Guys Show. Thank you for watching, guys. We'll check you out next time. Peace.
All right, man. Have a good one.